My name is Kevin, and I turned 38 this year. I work as a system engineer. I'm so busy with my job that I'm still single. Because I'm an only child, my parents, especially lately, keep telling me to get married and to show their grandchildren. If I explained that my job is important right now, my mom wouldn't be convinced. Ever since my dad passed away, my mom has been pushing me even more. She might be feeling lonely. The deadline phase for system engineers in IT companies is hell. When our sales team isn't coordinating with us, things really go south. We often get hit with unreasonable changes that clients push onto us. Thankfully, I'm highly regarded in my company for my work. Naturally, I get assigned more challenging tasks. I'm entrusted with meaningful work. I feel needed and appreciated at work. But, because I'm always working, I hardly have any opportunities to meet women. I'm not even invited to matchmaking parties anymore. But there is a woman I look up to and admire. Her name is Samantha, our project leader. I believe she's 2 years older than me. She's a system analyst, like a general manager for us system engineers. Basically, she's like our direct boss. She's well known in the industry and is really kind to our team. On the other hand, she can be tough on competitors. She always carries herself with confidence and grace. My only pleasure is seeing her at work. Just hearing a sweet voice say good morning makes me happy. So, even though I haven't met anyone, I'm not looking for a girlfriend. However, what weighed on my heart was that I couldn't fulfill my mom's wish as I was the only one left living at home. Hearing my mom's nagging made it hard for me to visit home. During such days, a client requested system specification changes right before the deadline. Major changes after almost completing the project. It seemed like our timid sales rep got pushed around and accepted the request. When we got the news, every member of my team slumped over their keyboards. We had been working overtime because it was right before the deadline. Such an incident just when we thought we could finally go home. It's no wonder we were also deflated. The teary-eyed saleswoman who was bowing apologetically was a new employee. We couldn't blame only her. Well, we've got to get it done, don't we? I took the change request from the sales rep and reported to Samantha's desk. Samantha had already been briefed by the sales manager, so she quickly skimmed through the request and asked me, "How long do you think it'll take? I'll try to get an extension from the client." Well, at a glance, I think we can manage in about a week. Even if we can't get an extension, if everyone pitches in, we'll be all right. Hearing my words, Samantha nodded assertively. "Thank you, that's reassuring." With that, the entire engineering team mobilized to address the changes. Such sudden changes aren't rare. Even if we're used to them, they're still a pain. A newlywed colleague of mine was sadly informing his new wife, "I wouldn't be coming home for a while." Other colleagues were also reaching out to their families or partners. The only ones without anyone to inform about our business were me and Samantha. For almost a week, we ended up staying overnight at the office. Many co-workers returned home only to come back again for work. Fortunately, there's a gym nearby, so I took advantage of its shower room and didn't return to my apartment for a single day, diving straight into work. Samantha was also used to staying overnight. She didn't go back home, overseeing our tasks and increasing work efficiency. Our progress going as planned was largely due to her expertise. After handing over the data to sales and our contacts, we all collapsed onto floors or couches. An entire week. Trimming down our sleep hours, we finally reached the delivery day. We handed the data over to sales around 1 a.m. I fell into a deep sleep and was awakened by the morning sunlight streaming through the window. Some colleagues were still asleep on the floor, but most were sprawled on the small couches. Carefully trying to move without waking the person sleeping next to me, I suddenly froze. Right in front of me was Samantha's face, defenseless in sleep. It wasn't the face of the boss I usually see. She looked like a child in her sleep. Awareness of her made my heart race. Her beautiful lips parted slightly, murmuring some indistinct words in her sleep. I felt like I was watching something I shouldn't. Yet, I couldn't take my eyes off her. Just a bit longer, I kept telling myself as I gazed at Samantha's sleeping face. I had never looked at her for so long before. As I was entranced by her, her eyelids suddenly lifted, and my heart felt like it would burst. With a small scream, Samantha jolted awake. "Eek, Kevin, why didn't you wake me up?" How embarrassing. The usually calm and composed lady is now flustered, her ears turning a bright shade of red. "Oh, I'm really sorry. I thought about waking you up, but..." Samantha places both hands on her cheeks, trying hard to hide something from me. "Samantha, I'm going to ask something embarrassing, but please be honest, okay?" Samantha's face is beet red, showing just how embarrassed she truly feels. "Well, if it's something I can answer." Then Samantha leans in, whispering into my ear. She probably didn't want anyone else to overhear. I couldn't hide the nervous excitement as her lips approached. Suddenly, I felt her soft breath near my ear. Didn't snore, did I? Huh? Caught off guard by the unexpected question, I blurted out a response. I hadn't imagined she'd be concerned about something like that. She looks at me with an expectant gaze. "You were fine. You were sleeping soundly, just like a child." My response seemed to relieve her. She smiled with an innocent face, saying, "Oh, thank goodness." That smile of hers was something I'd never seen before in Samantha, and my heart was filled with a fluttering feeling that wasn't just nerves. I had always admired her as my boss, but this fresh surprise of seeing her as such a cute lady was unexpected. From that day on, she was no longer just someone I admired, but someone I had feelings for. I got a call from my mom back home 3 days after that hectic project deadline. Apparently, one of my old school friends from our hometown had gotten married, and she lamented over the phone if I still hadn't found someone. She kept on pressing, so I accidentally let slip that I have a girlfriend. I didn't intend to lie. However, Mom immediately began grilling me on who she was and how long we'd been dating. I described to my mom a detailed image of the girl I had in mind. At that moment, I pictured Samantha in my mind. How happy would I be if Samantha was really my girlfriend? I got lost in my fantasies while sharing made-up romantic stories about her to my mom. When I visited home after a long time, as expected, Mom brought up this topic. She had some stuff for me and probably used it as an excuse to get more details about my girlfriend. She persistently asked me to introduce her to my girlfriend. When I kept dodging the topic, Mom finally lost her patience. "You don't really have a girlfriend, do you? Did you just make her up? How pathetic." Her taunting remarks made me lose my temper, especially since she hit the nail on the head. "I have proof." How rude. I took out my phone and showed her a picture from a recent work party. In the photo, Samantha and I were laughing together. We both looked merry, probably because of the drinks we had. This photo, with just the two of us, is something I treasure. "See, isn't she the wonderful person I told you about?" With an audibly annoyed breath, I spoke sharply to my mom. She was frozen, staring intently at my cell phone screen. I thought she might be stunned by how lovely the woman was. However, upon closer examination of my mom's face, her expression seemed more of fear than surprise. She was turning pale. "This woman, is she your girlfriend?" "No way, can't be," my mom murmured in a trembling voice. Her hand holding the cell phone was shaking. "Mom, what's wrong? Do you know Samantha?" Snapped back to reality by my words, my mom took a deep breath to calm herself down. I waited patiently for her to begin. "I'm sorry, Kevin. This must be a shock to you. There's something I need to tell you." With that, my mom began to share a story. She said she knew a woman who looked just like Samantha. It was probably Samantha's mom. Apparently, she was a rival in love over my dad when they were young. And shockingly, my mom was the one who stole my dad from Samantha's mom. She did so with rather forceful means. My mom practically made my dad hers. My dad's family business was in decline, and he was persuaded to marry my mom because she brought a significant dowry. To save the family business, he married my mom, essentially leaving Samantha's mom, whom he was dating at the time. My mom has been living with guilt towards Samantha's mom ever since. Growing up, I always thought my parents had a great relationship. I couldn't have imagined they had such a past. Tears formed in my mom's eyes as she expressed a desire to meet Samantha. She wondered if my dating Samantha might be some kind of destiny. Of course, Samantha is a fictional girlfriend of mine. There's no way to introduce her to my mom. I quickly changed the topic and made my exit, heading back to my apartment. However, from that day on, my mom started calling almost every night. She kept repeating her wish to meet Samantha. Even when I tell her both Samantha and I are swamped with work, she doesn't listen. Lately, she's even been calling during work hours. What's going on? Is there some sort of problem? After ending the call with my mom and returning to my desk, Samantha, with a concerned look, approached me. Seeing me leave my desk multiple times for calls, she wondered if I was dealing with some issues. "Well, it's my mom on the phone." I honestly explained everything to Samantha about how I had introduced her to my mom as my girlfriend, and the past connection between my mom and Samantha's mom. Then I made a plea to Samantha. "I know it's a lot to ask. Would you pretend to be my girlfriend just for a day?" I felt it was a shameless request, but it seemed like the only way out of my mom's constant inquiries. I believed meeting Samantha would satisfy her. Later, I could just tell my mom we broke up. I clasped my hands, begging Samantha, and she chuckled a little. "All right, but you owe me one." Relief washed over me upon hearing her response. She giggled, seeing my evident relief. "You're the ace of our team, you know. We can't have you getting sidetracked by such trivial things." She was absolutely right. Finding no words to reply, all I could do was offer a weak smile. The weekend came, and I took Samantha to my parents' home. I had already informed my mom of our visit. She was waiting for us at the front door. As Samantha stepped out of the car, my mom squinted as if looking at something dazzling. Perhaps trying to find traces of her old rival in Samantha. "Nice to meet you. My name is Samantha Smith." As she introduced herself and bowed her head, my mom gently nodded and took her hand. Seemingly forgetting about me, they both entered the living room. I hurriedly followed behind them. In the living room, I introduced her as my girlfriend. "Kevin has been so kind to me," she said. Samantha, playing her role perfectly, went along with my little lie. My mom, tears forming in her eyes, gazed at Samantha. She then confessed about a past dispute she had with Samantha's mom. Choking back tears, she apologized for the rift she had caused between them. Samantha softly and tenderly held my mom's hands and smiled in understanding. "You don't have to apologize for anything. My parents passed away when I was young, but I believe they were a loving couple. To this day, they are still my ideal image of a married couple," Samantha said, smiling at my mom and me. She laughed, saying that she was born because my parents got married. "So, all's well that ends well, right?" I joked, and both my mom and Samantha burst into laughter. I could sense the years of guilt that had been weighing on my mom's heart beginning to lift. I thought to myself, maybe I've done something right by her after all. My dream is to build a family like that, alongside Kevin, she said. Samantha stared intently at both me and my mom with a serious expression. Even though I knew she was just acting, my heart raced as if it would burst out of my chest. Tears of joy rolled down my mom's cheeks, moved by Samantha's words. My mom waved us off as we got into the car and we began our journey home. Both Samantha and I exhaled deeply at the same time. That was a proof that we had both been quite tense. We found it funny and laughed together. Thank you for today, Samantha. Your acting was so realistic it had my heart racing, I said as I drove. Feeling a bit shy, I couldn't bring myself to look at her face. Then, I heard a disappointed sigh from the passenger seat. I panicked, thinking I had upset her. I struggled to find the right words, but nothing came to mind. The atmosphere in the car grew tense. Kevin, are you just going to let today be a charade? Samantha asked, her face still turned to the window. Wait, what does she mean? Was this a confession from Samantha? I don't want it to be just that, I exclaimed, pressing the gas pedal harder. From the passenger seat, a soft thank you was heard. Feeling somewhat embarrassed, I responded, no, thank you. It wasn't the most eloquent reply, but I couldn't think of anything else to say. I think I was the most surprised by the unexpected turn of events. My relationship with Samantha continued to progress smoothly, and on Christmas, I proposed to her. The growing affection I felt as she happily accepted the ring was overwhelming. I vowed to protect her for the rest of my life. But later on, I found out she had been hiding something from me. When she said we needed to talk before getting married, I feared she was breaking up with me. However, her confession wasn't about breaking up, but a much more painful story. Samantha's parents divorced when she was young. Her mom raised her as a single parent and unfortunately passed away due to overwork and stress. Apparently, her mom had always been somewhat frail. Smith was her mom's maiden name, and her father had taken her mom's name when they got married. After the divorce, Samantha had no idea what became of her father. The image of her parents being the perfect couple, the ideal family for her, was a complete fabrication. It was a white lie she told to ease the guilt my mom felt deep inside. It made me realize just how compassionate and kind-hearted she truly was. A kindness that seemed to embrace everything. It felt like I was rediscovering her charm. I hope to become a person who is kinder and more compassionate than her. You're not having a wedding ceremony. That's a shame. When I went home to announce my engagement, my mom bombarded me with questions. She seemed to think I was being irresponsible by not hosting a wedding ceremony. We're planning to just take wedding photos and skip the ceremony. It's what she wants to. My mom reluctantly agreed to our decision after hearing my explanation. I have a favor to ask of you, Mom. Would you help me choose a wedding dress? Samantha spread out a bunch of wedding dress catalogs in front of my mom. Oh, I can help choose. Absolutely. Kevin isn't exactly the best when it comes to choosing my dress. The two of them are looking at me and chuckling. Whenever this happens, I always feel left out. But watching them enjoy themselves like this is a happy moment for me. It reminds me of the precious family I need to protect. So, how was it? Subscribing to the channel really motivates us to create more content. See you in the next video.